Now, there is new legislation in place to help curb illegal street racing and sideshows. These buttons are sorted into plastic, wood, pearl, rubber, glass. Now, we don't know what exactly this weapon is leading up to the deputy-involved shooting. Monday onwards, if you do choose to keep your face mask on while you're at school, or if you want to take your mask off while you're at school, officials say they want to make sure that students and staff feel like school is a safe place. Girls launched rockets like these weighing about 5 pounds. On February 2nd, 19-year-old Bianca Flores was killed near the intersection of Panama Lane and Acres Road, and officials say it was because of an illegal street race. We want to take a deeper look at places where you do still have to wear a mask. Cooler temperatures coming our way, some fog when you're heading out in the morning. It has pictures of both the boys, the reward amount, and a number you can call if you have any information. Tomorrow marks the beginning of Ramadan, which is a holy month for Muslims around the world. I spoke to local Islamic leaders here in Bakersfield who say this month is about reflection and resetting for the rest of the year. The vacant home in downtown Bakersfield, it's been boarded up. There's a lock in the front, and the Bakersfield Fire Department says that through their new program, door hangers like this will be placed in front of vacant homes. People use sticks like this to dance. How much money can you raise from an event like this to help our community? The 2022 Bakersfield Marathon kicked off this morning. There was energy, excitement, and festivities through parts of the city all morning long. The restrooms here at Casaloma Park are closed as if it's been welded shut. Now, $65 billion from there came to all counties in total, and Kern County specifically got $175 million. That's why attendees say that coming out here now and being in this environment makes them feel at home. Coolers for food and enough supplies to last at least 3 days. Also have an emergency contact outside the county who you can get in touch with if you need anything else. 50s, Ridgecrest, China Lake, so cooler temperatures definitely, and with those rain changes coming in as well.
We miss her, and she's just a wonderful human being, and this is a great loss to our family and the community.
That's Bianca's aunt, Melinda Chipres, remembering her niece. She says she used to love drawing, painting, and was fond of her dogs.
Hardworking, responsible, loving, great niece, wonderful daughter, a great big sister.
But Bianca's life was cut short when officials say a car and motorcycle were racing and the car collided with Bianca's. She was pronounced dead at the scene.
Bianca should be here. We should not be burying our niece. Our family is in a lot of pain.
According to the Bakersfield Police Department, the driver of the car who hit Bianca, Iqbal Singh, is currently in the hospital being treated for his injuries. He'll be booked and charged for murder, among others, once he is discharged. But they still don't know who the motorcyclist racing with Singh was, and that's why the family is asking the community to help.
That motorcyclist is still out there. Somebody knows who that person is. They know who they are. We need the community support, that person to step forward.
Bianca's uncle, Sergio Chipres, calls street racing a community problem, saying others have been reaching out to them about how street racing and sideshows have affected them.
They're tired of the red light runners. They're tired of the racing. They're tired of the revving.
According to BPD, in 2020 and 2021, the city had 11 deaths related to street racing. Assemblymember Vince Fong and local law enforcement organizations say they're working to curb illegal racing and sideshows across the state, but it's still a process to get everything in place. Melinda says it's important for drivers to be careful on the roadways and that illegal racing can be dangerous.
It took my niece's life, and that's not fair. She was innocent. She had her whole life ahead of her, and now she's gone. How are we supposed to live our lives happy with a hole in our hearts?
She adds that as difficult as this time is, she will hold on to the moments that she did get to spend with Bianca.
We have a lot of wonderful memories with her, but what I'm going to miss the most is her smile. Her smile would light up a room, and her kindness. She was always so kind to everybody. That's what I'm going to miss the most about her.
It's the sound of a celebration as people gathered at the Hindu temple at Fairfax Road and Valley View Drive for the last day of Ganesh Chaturthi. or the festival of the elephant god in Hindu culture. On the first day, people bring statues of Lord Ganesha into their homes, usually made of mud or clay. They decorate them, make special food and sweets, and pray. Lord Ganesha is the destroyer of obstacles and the god of knowledge and wisdom.
If we imbibe the values that Lord Ganesha stands for, we can ourselves overcome the obstacles.
Komal Desai, the vice president of the Hindu temple of Kern County, says that on the last day of the celebrations, people gathered at the temple where they brought their statues of Lord Ganesha and placed them on a cart to celebrate the god being present. Dancing, singing, and festivities continued, and people put sweets on the cart as a symbolic way to offer it to Ganesha. Communities come together and place the statues in water to symbolize letting Ganesha go until the festival next year. That's when a new idol is sculpted again from mud and worshipped, and the cycle continues.
And the symbolic meaning of that is that we all come from the 5 elements of the nature, and we are going back to the same 5 elements of the nature.
The priest lit a lamp and moved it around, driving positive energy. The light is used to drive away darkness, negativity, and troubles, and wish for goodness and prosperity. Even though this year's celebration looked different, with masks and slightly scaled down, the main purpose was to bring the community together.
Trying to keep our traditions going, but at the same time, keeping the safety guidelines and everybody else's health and wellness in mind.
Desai says the temple has safety precautions in place and tries to make sure people can safely gather there. She believes that community events and having people celebrate festivals can help them feel closer to where they come from, to their homes overseas, and to each other.
I think the temples or any places of worship and gathering like this not only provide a place to come and practice your faith, but it also gives a lot of support to the people. You don't feel alone. You know, you have a sense of community, sense of belonging.
It's about the glass, but it's not about the glass.
Recycling Lives is more than just a facility to repurpose glass. For Courtney Pumphrey, who says she's a recovering addict, this gave her purpose.
My life is worth value, that I am worthy of being loved, I'm gonna cry, and that people care about me, and that anything I did in the past doesn't matter anymore, because today I'm clean, today I have a job, and today I have a future.
The program helps people that have barriers to working, like those who have been incarcerated, are experiencing homelessness, or have been out of the workforce, and trains them with job skills, but also on the social and emotional aspects of being in a workplace.
Program really got me back out into the public life, the community, communicating with other people, and really started to build my confidence up.
It's truly a community in every sense. People work together, eat together, learn to drive forklifts like this, can drive tractors, and get soft skills to help them in future workplaces. The program started back in July of 2021. It's a 14-week-long training and work period and is currently in its 3rd cohort. Joe Turner, an instructor here at Recycling Lives, says people get certified to operate equipment, help with their resumes, paid work experience, and instructors to help guide through this process.
Learning skills that are transitional to the workforce. Also, they're building confidence and consistency.
The training, in partnership with the Bakersfield Adult School, BARC, County of Kern, and Kern Alliance of Business, is by Recycling Glass.
This machine's pretty awesome. Through the belt up to the pulverizer. At this point, you got sand and bigger glass that's all mixed, and trash. Once it hits this belt, then it goes to the trommel.
Logistics teacher Mike McLeod adds the pieces are then divided into sand and glass. The glass can then be melted down and used in other glassware or even in landscaping. The sand is taken by the county and can be repurposed as well.
Anything made from this will go right back into the program.
On February 15th, the Kern County Board of Supervisors approved funding for a new tractor for the program to continue to train those who need it in our community.
Betty Peoples turns 70 next year, and she's grateful to the program for accepting her and giving her a chance to find a new career, and she hopes to be able to give back in her own way.
If I'm lucky, maybe I get to stick around and, help some other people out.
In Bakersfield, I'm Mythili, 23 ABC, connecting you.
According to data from the California Secretary of State, this recall election is estimated to cost about $300 million. Even though it was an election with just 2 questions on the ballot, it was still a statewide race with every county and every precinct participating. So the state has about 22 million registered voters. So given that, about $14 per voter was spent for this recall election. And that's for about 7% of the eligible voting population signed the recall petition.
So it's inexpensive. It's not something that's cheap, and the low estimate is 276 million, I think it is. It could be higher than that because once we decided to make it not a special election, we could not combine polling places. And so therefore we had to have all the polling places that we had before because we expected to be a larger turnout than just a normal special election.
Some of the increased costs, according to Secretary of State Shirley Weber, were to set up polling stations, printing the booklets, sample ballots, and the actual ballots, all the postage that was spent, the paper costs, and staffing in elections offices where people had to work overtime to get through the election and at polling sites as well. All as they typically would for a general election in a typical cycle. So comparing these numbers to what we saw to the 2003 recall election in California, the state reportedly spent about $44 million. At that time, they had about 15 million registered voters. So now about 2 decades later, and with 22 million registered voters, it's about $300 million. That's a 7-time increase in the amount of money that was spent for the election across the state of California. Coming up at 6, we have more on what these numbers look like here locally in Kern County. At the Live Center, I'm Mythili, 23 ABC, connecting you. A little chillier this time. We do see those clouds already behind us through our roof cam over downtown Bakersfield. It is 49 degrees right now, so if you're outside, the jacket's probably going to come in pretty handy. We do have 100% cloud cover, but no precipitation. It will be a little bit drier than we have been these past couple days especially. Now looking at our temperatures right now, we're pretty cold all across the board in Kern County. 49 in Bakersfield, 41 up in Delano, 41 in McFarland. Looking at the eastern part of our county, we're 43 in China Lake, low 40s, California City, in the Air Force Base as well, 37 in Tehachapi, already close to freezing temperatures before we can go to those overnight lows. So it's going to be pretty cold all throughout, even going into the next couple days. Looking at our air quality though, something to look forward to, 41 right now, so a lot better than we have seen, and hopefully it stays away for just a little while longer. We did have some snow accumulating today, even at the pass level. That's why we had those closed at the Grapevine this morning and for most of the day, but that kind of cleared up, so we won't see much more snow rain anymore, but we will see some drier, cooler conditions, and more on that coming up later in the show. We like to highlight stories of people doing good in their communities. In tonight's positive story, some elementary students near Atlanta surprised their beloved custodian, who is also from Ukraine. Lana Gashenko, a U.S. citizen, has worked at Oak Hill Elementary for 21 years, but she has dozens of family members in Ukraine. So in a show of support, students drew sunflowers for her, which are a symbol of hope in Ukraine. They also put up a blue and yellow Ukrainian flag with the message, "We love you, Mrs. Lana." What do we think? Staged?
I thought it looked a little staged, but then it went from that slap to like some tears later and a few apologies. So I was just like, we're just on a roller coaster here.
Well, speaking of roller coasters though, so is our weather maybe. Let's take a look at that now. Rasara, what do we have in store?